let me tell you about a silent agreement. One that was never signed, never spoken out loud. It was made in a room, maybe 30 years ago, maybe 20. You were just a kid, and you looked into the eyes of the person who was supposed to be your anchor, and you saw a storm. Maybe it was the ghost of addiction in their gaze. Maybe it was the cold fire of a rage they couldn't control. Or maybe it was just nothing. A vacant stare from someone who had checked out of their own life. And in that single, silent moment, a deal was struck. A trade. You would give up your childhood in exchange for a fragile sense of safety. You didn't know you were doing it. No child does. But you became the guardian of the household, the emotional first responder. You learned to walk on eggshells before you even learned to properly tie your shoes. And if this is resonating with you right now, if a part of you is nodding along, then you need to keep watching, because we're not just talking about a sad childhood memory. We are going to uncover the exact psychological blueprint that experience carved into your nervous system. A blueprint that is, right now, running your adult life, your relationships, your career, and your deepest sense of self. And more importantly, we are going to talk about how to rewrite it. So what exactly happens inside a child who's forced into this role? In the world of developmental psychology, we have a term for it. It's called parentification. But that word doesn't even begin to capture the internal earthquake. It's not just doing the dishes or watching your siblings. It's a fundamental rewiring of the brain's core operating system. A child's brain is wired for play, for exploration, for making mistakes and being forgiven. But when that brain is forced to become the emotional regulator for an adult, a survival switch gets flipped. It's called hypervigilance. Your primary job is no longer to play. Your job is to scan, to predict danger, to read micro-expressions on a parent's face like it's the most important book you'll ever read. You become a psychological weather forecaster in a home that's always 1 second away from a tornado. And love becomes a transaction, a conditional contract. I will be quiet, and maybe I'll get peace. I will be good, and maybe I won't get yelled at. I will solve your problems, and maybe, just maybe, I'll feel worthy of existing. Your own needs, they become a liability, a dangerous variable that could upset the delicate balance of the entire system. So, you do the only logical thing a brilliant, survival-driven child can do. You bury them. You don't disappear physically. You disappear emotionally. The real you goes into a hidden basement deep inside your psyche. And in its place, a performance begins. You become the good kid, the old soul, the therapist friend, and the world applauds you for it. But the applause is a lie, because the child in the basement is still there, and they are screaming one silent, unanswered question: who's going to take care of me? Fast forward to today. You're a functional adult. You pay your bills. You have a life. But the blueprint is still active. You might be hyper-independent. You refuse to ask for help. Receiving a simple gift feels like taking on an unpayable debt. You push people away the moment they get too close, because closeness once meant responsibility. You might feel a strange numbness during moments of joy, because happiness feels unfamiliar, unearned, even dangerous. Your brain is still wired for the storm, so calm weather feels wrong. You might confuse exhaustion with success. If you're not productive, you feel worthless. Because your worth was always tied to what you could do for others, not who you were. And in your relationships, you become the overgiver, the fixer. You pour all your energy into managing your partner's emotions, just like you did with your parent. And then, a quiet, bitter resentment starts to grow. Why doesn't anyone ever take care of me? But the truth is, you never taught them how. You never showed them the child in the basement. You only ever showed them the strong, capable, flawless performer. This isn't a personality flaw. This is a coping mechanism. A brilliant, life-saving strategy that worked perfectly in a war zone. But you don't live in a war zone anymore. And the armor you built to survive is now too heavy to carry. And it's crushing you. So, how do we change this? The first step, and this is non-negotiable, is validation. Stop gaslighting yourself. Stop saying, "It wasn't that bad." Your nervous system doesn't lie. If it felt like a crisis, it was a crisis. Healing begins the moment you look at that experience and say, "That was real, and it hurt." The second step is not about fixing yourself. It's about witnessing. This is what we call shadow work. It's the courageous act of turning toward the parts of yourself you were forced to abandon. It's going down to that psychological basement, looking that scared kid in the eyes, and finally listening. What did I need back then that I never got? You might hear, "I needed someone to tell me it wasn't my job to hold the world together. I needed someone to see that I was struggling. I needed permission to be messy, to be loud, to be a child." And now, here is the most powerful intervention. You start to give that to yourself. Now, this is conscious reparenting. It's a scientific, deliberate process of giving your own inner child the experiences it was deprived of. If you needed safety, you learn to create boundaries. If you needed play, you schedule time for absolutely nothing productive. If you needed to be heard, you start journaling, or you tell a trusted friend the real story. You are not trying to change the past. That's impossible. You are changing the impact of the past on your present. You are updating the software of your soul. The tragedy was that you had no choice. The triumph will be that now you do. You can choose to put the weight down. You can choose to rest, not as a reward for exhaustion, but as a birthright. You can choose to let people love the real you, not just the helpful, convenient version of you. It won't be a straight line. Some days, you'll feel ridiculous. Some days, the old patterns will feel safer. But every time you choose softness over hardness, every time you choose your own need over someone else's demand, you are sending a message to that child in the basement. The message is, "I see you, I hear you, and I'm coming for you." You are allowed to come home. You never got a real childhood, but you have a real, authentic adulthood waiting for you. It doesn't belong to your past. It belongs to you. And this time, you get to write the story.